"Can you hear me now?" was a popular phrase from a telecom ad campaign to emphasize a lack of effective communication. In the majority of companies, the answer is no. A survey of 880 managers shows that only 35% are aware of other functional group strategies within their own company. And when it comes to relationships with customers, how often is the goal of strategic partner actually achieved? The failure to align strategies within companies and the failure to become a true strategic partner to customers are both caused by the inability to lead effective strategy conversations. Research with 400 executives found that only 32% of organizations teach their managers how to facilitate strategy conversations. But as Fast Company magazine co-founder Alan Weber wrote, conversations are the way workers discover what they know, share it with their colleagues, and in the process create new knowledge for the organization. In the new economy, conversations are the most important form of work. Less than half of managers set aside time on a regular basis throughout the year to think about and discuss strategy with their colleagues. The result is that many managers reside on islands of insight, secluded beaches of great ideas that go unshared, unnoticed, or unused by others in the organization. These islands of insight are perhaps the greatest source of untapped potential in any organization. The good news is that the key to unlocking this potential doesn't require new capital, equipment, or people. All it requires are conversations. A strategy conversation is a verbal interchange of thoughts that result in new insights on how to achieve one's goals. The goal may be quantitative, qualitative, or problem-solving in nature. The interchange, or giving and receiving of ideas, represents the intersection of thoughts, opinions, and assumptions that begins to create shared understanding of the situation. Strategy conversations are valuable in internal situations such as setting strategic direction, gaining insight into one another's functional area strategies, and innovating for competitive advantage. They are also of value in external situations, such as developing strategic partnerships with customers, strengthening relationships with suppliers, and understanding market dynamics. When it comes to internal development of strategic direction, strategy conversations are the main gear that makes each phase go. A physical gear is a part with cut teeth that meshes with the teeth of another part to transmit or receive force and motion, often permitting driven machinery to run in either direction. In much the same way, strategy conversations are used to transmit or receive thoughts moving in either direction, resulting in insights that generate progress towards one's goals in each phase of the strategy development process. Since the number one cause of business failure is bad strategy, it's crucial that your team have productive strategy conversations internally with colleagues and externally with customers. To move strategy conversations from concept to reality, I created the Strategy Conversation Framework to provide a guide to leading strategy conversations internally with your teams and externally with customers. Strategy conversations involve three elements: dialogue, discussion, and direction. The intent of the dialogue phase is to create a forum for the free flow of meaning, resulting in a shared understanding of the key issues. The word dialogue comes from the Latin word dialogos, with dia meaning through and logos meaning the word. Therefore, dialogue can be described as a flow of meaning through words. It is through dialogue that we learn of each other's assumptions, ideas, and opinions, not so we can judge them, but so we can observe them to create something new. To that end, the mindset in the dialogue phase is exploratory, with the intent of thinking together, as opposed to the serial monologues that tend to dominate many conversations. The intent of the discussion phase is to explore options to achieve the goals established for the strategy conversation. The word discussion can be traced to the Latin discutere, meaning a shaking apart, to break up. It's in the discussion phase that we are decomposing the ideas generated through dialogue to examine them at a more granular level to determine how they can contribute to the achievement of the goal we've established. Here, we are beginning to create the pool of alternatives for reaching our goal by breaking down groups of ideas into potential pathways to move the situation forward. As the funnel icon suggests, the discussion phase is intended to take all the ideas generated during dialogue and whittle them down into productive alternatives to address the situation and reach the goal. The third and final phase of the strategy conversation is direction. The intent of the direction phase is to provide a clear path forward to achieve the goal of the strategy conversation. The word direction comes from the Latin word directio, meaning arranging in line, straightening. The direction phase takes the input and insights generated through dialogue and discussion and configures them into a decision on which course of action to pursue. This decision takes the form of a strategic framework designed to communicate the chosen alternative to others and provide instruction on its implementation. The direction phase draws the strategy conversation to a close. The decision to pursue a course to achieve the goal or intent established at the outset has been made, and it's now incumbent upon the participants to ensure the appropriate steps for implementation are taken. Strategy conversations can transform the internal islands of insight in your organization into a powerful insight ecosystem where people's best thinking is shared and leveraged on a regular basis. They will span the silos between functional areas and levels, create greater commitment to one another's strategies, and extinguish a culture of fire drills. From an external perspective, strategy conversations will create a common ground of value from which you, your customers, and suppliers can all benefit. They will shift your customer's perspective of working with you from that of a transactional vendor to a real strategic partner. If you see gaps in how you and your colleagues collaborate, it's likely that the central gear of the strategy conversations is missing. Without that gear, silos will stand, assumptions will go unchecked, and potential customers will be lost. Converse now or forever hold your peace. Visit strategyskills.com for additional support in facilitating strategy conversations and increasing your organization's strategic capabilities.